Okay, welcome. Rudy, are you in Disney? Welcome to Garden of the Spirit, a class studying apples from the orchard for the second time, beginning after Pesach, 2014. This class meets in Long Meadow, Massachusetts, the center of the universe. It is held in memory of Malka Ruth Bas Moshe Margaret Vogel, of blessed memory. Apples from the Orchard contain selections of teachings of Kabbalah from the Arizal Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, based on the weekly Torah portion, superbly translated and explained by Rabbi Moshe Wisniewski. Okay, let's see. All right. So till here we're learning about the pure olive oil crushed for the luminary. That means crushed for the lamp. Lamp might be a better word. To raise a continual flame. So the menorah, we said, is correlated with Nukva and Malchus. And initially, I don't think we've had this before. We've had a lot about Zerampin, a lot about Malchus. I don't think we've seen this. Malchus starts off on the back side of Zerampin. And then it becomes its own entity, breaks off from the back, and goes underneath the Zerampin. And this is done with divine energy, with light from the subsphere, Chesed of Netzach and Chesed of Hod. We also said that there are two types of light, one called Or Yashar, a direct light. And direct light works in a how do you say, a regressive regression. And that is that the farther it gets, the weaker it gets. But Or Choser is a reflecting light. A reflecting light, bouncing light, becomes much stronger, powerful, and can break out of Earth's orbit. The light, and so when the light goes down through Zerampin, this is really important. When the light goes down through Zerampin, it goes to Yesod. It comes here from Chesed of Netzach, Chesed of Hod. It goes down to Yesod, and over there, it bounces, and it becomes a reflecting light. A direct light will never be able to create a nukva or malchus, because that is very different than the Zerampin. So it has to reflect, changes direction, it bounces, it comes back more powerful, and then it comes back up, and some of it escapes to the back of Zerampin, where Malchus is situated. And then Malchus can become its own entity below Zerampin.
That's amazing.
Why?
The concept that it bounces, because I always thought about how Malchus receives like it's a part of Zerampin, like it's just the next step, but it's completely different.
No, it's independent.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing this before. We do have Or Yashar and Or Choser, the direct light and the reflecting light in other places.
Yeah.
So now we'll continue page 442 at the bottom.
Okay.
Has Alan joined us?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. So Jim, please begin. 442 at the bottom. These two.
These two sub-Sifrot of Chesed within Netzach and Hod of Zerampin are manifest as two olives. As it is written, there were two olive trees above it. The verse is part of Zechariah's prophetic vision of the return of the Babylonian exile, in which he is shown a golden menorah. The two olive trees seem to be the source of the oil burning in the lamps of the menorah.
Okay. So I forgot to do 5. In this vision, Zechariah saw 2 olive trees above it. 2 olive trees referred to Chesed, subspheres, Chesed of Netzach, and Chesed of Yesod. These 2 subsephirot descend to Yesod, the bottom of Zerampin. When they hit the bottom, they break apart into small pieces, similar to olives are crushed into soil. The Hebrew words used here mean ground or pulverized, crushed, but basically it can also refer, it implies that there's some kind of manufacturing process happening. It implies. I'll explain what that's about.
Take the next 2.
We'll see what that's about. What?
The next 2, take it out, implies a manufacturing process. Just editing.
Yeah. Yeah, yes, we'll come to that. Okay, so Jim, continue.
When these 2 subsephirot descend to the Yesod of Zerampin, they are crushed there by the force of their impact and are thus ground to produce oil. As is mentioned in the Zohar, the grinding of the oil occurs at the level of the tzaddik, that is Yesod. By the force.
So Yesod, Yesod, and here also he says tzaddik. And we're going to talk about that later on. 7. Since Zerampin and Nukva are compared to the interaction between male and female, the 2 subsephirot, Chesed of Netzach and Chesed of Yesod, are like the part of the body that produces male seed, or the part of the male body that produces seed. We're going to be, so often happens, we're using I don't remember which one's allegory and which is analog. I guess the allegory in this case is going to be the olives, and the analog is the spheres. But so we're actually 3 things: the human body, the olives and the process for making olive oil, and then the spheres. And we're going to be, as we often do, we're going to be interchanging terms for each of them. So I guess in some places it talks about the male seed being, I'm going to use the word manufactured, produced by the testicles. So there is some connection there to olives, and also the idea of the process of making oil, and similar to, I guess, how male seed is produced. Okay, go ahead, continue, Jim, please.
So by the force of their impact there, they become pulverized, made into fine particles, and are then ground up, producing pure olive oil, the light that is given to Nukva. According to Kabbalah, male seed originates spiritually in the male brain, and then becomes progressively more physical as it descends via the spinal cord to the reproductive organs. This is the grinding or the pulverizing process referred to here. Nowadays, we might imagine this as the process of the nerve impulses in the brain stems stimulating the production of semen in the scrotum. In any case, one of the physiological analogs, there you go, for Netzach and Hod is the 2 testicles. And we have had occasion to point out that semantic connection between the Hebrew word for oil, which is shemen, and the English word for semen, based on the fact that the implication of the word shemen is the distilled essence of any entity. Thus, the 2 olives may be seen as spiritual testicles that produce the male seed or oil that is then spiritually transferred to the menorah or the female principle. In the present context, the seed is the conceptual insight originating in Chachma that is processed by the Sephirotic array, eventually being brought to fulfillment as it is applied to the real world. This seed must be pulverized, reduced of its constituent elements in order to create female consciousness, as we said. This is similar to how physically the male seed must be reduced, made physical, that is, descend from the spiritual origin in the male mind, in order for it to be given to the female.
Okay. Thank you. Eight. So this is the meaning behind the terms of the Torah. Kasis Amaor. Brushed for the luminary. I'm sorry. I put a period there. It's supposed to be a period. Okay. Here's the meaning behind terms of the Torah. The Torah says, when it talks in the first pasuk here, Tetzaveh, that the Shemen Zayas Zach, pure olive oil, Kasis Lamoar, crushed for the luminary, means that the light from Chesed of Hod and Yesod, of Netzach and Hod. Netzach and Hod, Chesed of Netzach and Hod breaks apart when it hits Yesod, so that it is suitable for Nukva. The next words, Laha'alos Ner Tamid, so the word Kasis is crushed. The next words, Laha'alos Ner Tamid, it's to raise a constant light or a continual light. So Laha'alos, we use that term a few times when we're talking about a lamp or a flame. The word Laha'alos means to raise or to elevate. It doesn't say like Laha'ir, Lahadlik, to Laha'ir to light, Lahadlik to light. It says Laha'alos, to raise, means that the light bounces upwards as reflected light, where it will bounce up and reach Malchus. Okay. Gershon, are you ready?
Where are we?
443 at the bottom. We're in Long Meadow, center of the universe.
This is the mystical meaning of the phrase, ground for the menorah. The verse then continues by explaining that the purpose of this grinding process is in order to kindle the eternal lamp. This means that this light will reach Malchus, which is called the lamp, as it ascends as reflected light. The word for to kindle, lehalot, literally means to cause to ascend, thus alluding to the fact that the menorah is supplied with its oil via a process of ascending, that means reflected light.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
8. As we said in number 4, the only way the light can reach Nukva is as reflected light, not as direct light. And it becomes reflected light when it's crushed.
If this light were not crushed, it would not reflect upward. And as we have explained, it is only possible to shine reflected light to Nukva.
Okay. The pure olive oil for the menorah is connected with the 7 names of Hashem connected with Shabbos. First I see of this. Not something I'm familiar with. The 7 names are derived from 2 names of Hashem. The name Ekyeh, Aleph Hey Yud Hey, and the first 3 letters of Havaya, Yud, and then Hey and Vav. They are also connected with the 7 spheres of Zerampin and Nukva. They are explained in connection with the Shemona Esrei of Shabbos, which has 7 blessings. The weekday Shemona Esrei has 19 blessings. The Shemona Esrei of Shabbos has 7. And over there, I guess their Rizal, our Reb Chaim Vital, explains about these 7 names. Okay, go ahead.
Regarding the pure oil, I, that means Chaim Vital, once heard from my master that the 7 divine names mentioned in the Zohar in connection with the Shabbos, which are derived from the 2 names Ekie and Yud-Hei Bab, and issue from them like 7 pearls, are equivalent to the 7 extremities of Zerampi.
Continue.
We have already explained these 7 names in our explanations of the liturgy regarding the 7 blessings that constitute each of the Amida prayers recited on the Shabbos. The name Yud-Hei Bab is simply the first 3 letters of the name Havaya, Yud-Hei Bab-Hei. The letter Hey dropped since it's seen as just a projection of the first Hey. 7 names are derived from combinations of the letters of the name Ekie and the name Yud-Hei Bab. These 7 names form part of the meditations associated with the ascent of the worlds on Sabbath night. Following are the 7 names, the letters of the name Ekie and Yud-Hei Bab. They originate from and their numerical values. Should I continue?
Yes, continue.
All right.
So,
Bless-
so
yeah.
this chart, the first column on the left has the 7 blessings of the Shabbos Shemona Esrei.
Mhm.
The second column from the left has which letter of these 2 names of Hashem. The name Ekia is 1, 2, 3, 4. Aleph Hey. I think it's supposed to be Yud Hey, and then 5, 6, and 7 are the first 3 letters of Havaya, Yud and Hey and Vav.
Mhm.
Then there's something called the derived name, which what name comes from it, and you see 2 of them are the same. And then the name in expanded spelling that's derived from this. I'm not clear what that is. Ooh, look at that. And then the last one is the gematria of that name. Okay, so I would say to go across.
Yeah. Number 1, Shield of Abraham, letter of Ekie or Yud-Hei Bab, Aleph. Derived name, Habaya. Spelling out of the derived name, Yud-Hei Bab-Hei, and numerical value 26. Number 2, who resurrects the dead? Hei. So the letter of Ekie is Hei, derived name Habaya, Yud-Hei Bab-Hei, 26. Number 3, the Holy God. Bab, Habaya, Atbash, Men Zadik, Pei Zadik, 300.
Okay, so this is Havaya, but Yud-Ke Vav-Ke. But it's not the regular letters. You have to transpose the letters for going back to front. So the first letter Aleph would be switched for the last letter Tuf. The second letter Beis would be switched with the second to last letter Shin. The third letter Gimel gets switched with the third to last letter Resh, and so on. So in that way, Yud is switched for Mem, Hey is switched for Tzadik, the Vav is switched for Pei, and the last Hey is switched for Tzadik. So it's Mem, Tzadik, Pei, Tzadik, and we call that code, or that transposing, is called Atbash. Aleph Tuf, Beis Shin. And we have had that before.
Yeah, we got that. Mhm.
Okay, go ahead, number 4.
Number 4, who sanctifies the Sabbath. The letter is Hei, and the derived name is Ka-Atni. Yud, Hei, Aleph, Dalet, Nun, Yud. Gematria is 80. Number 5, who restores his Shekhinah to Zion. The letter is Yud, and the name is Kel, Aleph, Lamed. Really? Aleph, Lamed? Okay. 31. And number 6, whose name is God, is good, Hey, Elohim, Aleph, Lamed, Hey, Yud, Mem, 86. And finally, who blesses his people Israel with peace, Bab, Havaya, in Atbash, Men, Zadik, Pei, Zadik, 300. It will be noted that the sum of the numerical values of the names that derive from the 4 letters of the name Ekie is 26 plus 26 plus 300 plus 80, 432. The sum of the numerical values of the name that derive from the 3 letters of the name Yud Hei Bab is 31, 86, and 300, 417. So we're missing what, 15 there?
That will come. That he's going to explain now.
Good.
For the first 4 columns, the name is the first 4 columns. The derived name, the center column. Sorry, the first 4 rows. So the derived name is the total of that is 432, and it's from the name Ekya, and the last three from the first three letters of Yud of Havaya. The total is 417. So let's go to number 11. The gematria of the first four names on the chart, which are derived from Hashem's name Ekya, equals 4032, the same as the word Tevel, a word for world, like our world, for the physical world. In this case, it refers to Malchus. We say, I forgot what, Tevel v'yoshveva, the earth and all the people who live there. It's in the Tillim. We say it. We say it's the song of the day for Sunday. The David Mizmar, La Hashem ha'aretz umloa, the earth, to Hashem is the earth and everything in it. Tevel v'yosheva, I guess means like what's the word? Terra firma?
Mhm.
The terrestrial?
The planet?
Huh?
The planet? I don't know.
Like the Terra.
Terra.
Huh?
Terra, I said. Like
So-
the Terra. It's like Terra.
The Terra and everything in it, I guess would be
Yeah.
Tevel. Okay, but we have it probably a few other times too there. Okay, go ahead. So that is the same. That's 432, and it refers to Malchus. Then,
Yeah.
Go ahead. These 7 names.
These 7 names are associated with the 7 lower sephiros of Serampin. The numerical value of the 4 names derived from the 4 letters of the name Ekie is the same as that of the word for the world, table, 432. When Malchus receives their light, it is called the world. What's the previous name?
What?
That was the previous name for Nukba. It was
Malchus?
D.
Nukva?
Yeah, it was D something. Forgot already. Wow. The numerical value of the 3 names derived from the 3 letters of the name Yud, K, Vav is the name as that of the word for olive, Zayit. That's how you say it, Zayit? 417.
Yes. Yeah.
Zayit, Zayin, Yud, Tav, 710, 400, 417.
Okay, that's gonna be 12. The gematria of the last 3 names on the chart, which are derived from the first 3 letters of Avaya, equals 417, the same as Zayit Aleph. The divine energy that is produced, referred to here by the metaphors olive and oil, is pure. The gematria of Zayit Aleph is 417, and the gematria of Shemen Zach, pure oil, is also 17. The Torah says Shemen Zayit Zach. Shemen is oil, Zayit is olive, and Zach is pure. So if you take the middle word is Zayit, is 417, and the 2 outside words, Shemen Zach, pure oil, is also 417. The same as, right, the gematria of those, the chart of
Yud, Kef,
Kel is 31, Elohim 86, and Avaya in Atash
300.
And the difference between the 2 numbers is Yud K.
15.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay, Garrison, go ahead. Bottom of 445.
Now, when this olive comprises these 3 names derived from the name Yud, K, Vav is crushed, it produces pure oil, as is seen from the fact that the numerical value of the phrase pure oils, Shemen Zach, is also the same as that of the word for olive, Zayit 417. Shemen
Okay.
Zach, Shimenu Zayit, 300 plus 40 plus 50 plus 7, 20, 417.
All right. Good, thanks. 13. Rabbi Chaim Vital adds, that it seems to him that the first three letters of Ekia correspond to Chesed, Gvura, and Tiferes. The first three letters of Avaya correspond to Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. So we're going down from on the chart. The first four rows are the name Ekia. The first three, Aleph, Hey, and Yud, are the first three in Ze'er Anpin. The last three rows, row 5, 6, and 7, for the first three letters of Hashem's name of Avaya, those correspond to the next three in Ze'er Anpin, Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. We left out the last letter of Ekia, the second Hey, that is saved for Malchus. That's what we say here. Okay, Avigail, are you ready? Oh, do you not have a book?
She's mute.
I have a book. I just have a hard time unmuting.
Okay, 446.
It appears to me that this idea is related to what we just stated. This is because the three letters of the name Yud Kei Vav are aligned with the three final sub-sephiros of Ze'er Anpin, i.e. it's Netzach, Hod, and Yesod, as is known, and the three initial letters of the name Ekia, Aleph, Hey, Yud, are aligned with the sub-sephiros of Hesed, Gevura, Tiferes. The final Hey of the name Ekia is aligned with Malchus, which clings to the chest, Tiferes of Ze'er Anpin.
Okay, that's just what I wrote here in 13. 14, since the light is from Netzach and Hod, that goes down to Yesod, the three lower spheres of Ze'er Anpin, the olive corresponds to these three. Because the olive, we said, the Netzach and Hod, the light comes from there, gets crushed in Yesod, and then it can go to Malchus. So these are going to go, this oil is going to go to Malchus or to the menorah to produce light. Okay, it follows.
All right. It follows that the olive corresponds to Netzach, Hod, Yesod of Ze'er Anpin, i.e. the sub-sephiros of Hesed, that are revealed and crushed, and from which issue the pure oil that shines on the menorah, i.e. Malchus.
Okay, 15. A pasuk in Mishlei says, "V'yesh mifazer v'nosaf od," which means there is one who scatters and adds more. So you're giving in a way that scatters, and yet instead of losing what you have, you gain. And this is generally understood to refer to tzedakah, that a person scatters his money, distributes money, which brings more to the one who, which only brings more to the one who gives. The word scatters, that's generally. Over here, we're going to say that the word scatters refers to the olive that gets crushed and ground, and then it adds more by giving to Malchus, and everyone gains, which is a great benefit for all. It adds more. Look what I just did here. I don't know if that's in the original. I mixed the olive, the analogy with Malchus and the light, and then the spheres that go on, or the analogy with the analog. Okay, go ahead.
Who is the one that the Mishlei refers to? Any yid who gives tzedakah?
Yes, someone who the giver of tzedakah. Then this should be fulfilled for all of us.
Amen.
This is the mystical meaning of the verse. There is one who distributes yet adds more. Our sages explain this verse to refer to charity, but it may be explained as referring to our context as well, because the sephira that gives charity to Nukva is called the righteous, and this process makes her righteous as well.
Mhm.
Transfer of the light from Zeranpin to Nukva may be considered a form of charity. The word for charity is tzedakah, which literally means righteousness, and the chief appellation for Yesod is tzaddik, meaning the righteous one. The feminine form of the adjective righteous, tzedek, is the same as the noun righteous, tzedakah.
Okay, so the simple meaning here is that it's tzedakah. So since that's the simple meaning, we're connecting it with tzaddik, and tzaddik is a reference, can be a reference to Yesod. We said before, I think on page 443, top right, that the grinding of the oil occurs at the level of tzaddik, which is Yesod. I told you we'll get back to that.
It makes
Now-
sense?
Mhm.
The whole game is give and receive. Right?
Tzaddik, what?
The whole game is giver and recipient.
Yeah.
So righteous would be the person who fulfills that.
Is
That's
giving.
the whole point, right?
Yes. Yes. And so it says, tzaddik, a term related to tzedakah, is associated with the sphira Yesod. As we've seen, what? And this is my own explanation here. As we've seen, Yosef personified Yesod,
Yeah.
and is
yeah,
also known as Yosef HaTzadik
right,
for
right,
turning
right.
away Mrs. Potiphar's advances. The tzaddik who scatters tzedakah, meaning Yosef, meaning Yesod, grinds the divine energy from Netzach and Hod, turning them into small crumbs. They are then suitable to be given to Nukva, the same way charity is given to a poor person. In fact, if you have an option to give a lot at once, or to split the same amount and give it in increments, all other things being the same, it's better to give in increments because it's a mitzvah each time you give. So you're getting
Mhm.
multiple mitzvahs. And again, all other things being the same. If the poor person needs the total today, then you got to give the whole thing today.
Yep.
This is like the divine energy that's crushed into many pieces on its way to Malchus. Okay, it's 447 at the top.
Now the righteous one distributes, meaning that he divides and grinds the states of Chesed, making them into small crumbs. They become pulverized by the force of their impact in order that they can be given to Nukva and are thus distributed into Nukva, much as a person distributes charity. If someone has $6 to give to charity during the coming week, it is taught that it is better to give $1 a day than to give all $6 at once, since the repeated act of giving purifies the body more than one act of giving them all at once, even though the amount given is the same in either case. Thus, there is something inherent in giving charity about splitting up the specific amount given into smaller amounts, provided, of course, that this does not mean that less is given than otherwise.
Okay. 17. Don't think that Zerampin loses by giving to Nukva. Chesed actually increases when it's crushed.
Mhm.
Its light is magnified and adds to Zerampin. And this is the meaning of the pasuk, that there is one who scatters and adds more.
Can you explain what you mean by chesed actually increases when it is crushed?
That's what it says here. So it doesn't explain it. One thing that came to mind, because I was wondering what that is. One thing that comes to mind is if you have something, let's say, that's flammable, like something made out of wood, and if you crush it, it
Mm.
becomes it becomes much more flammable. It burns much better because there's a lot more surface area.
I was
So that's
wondering,
just something would be
sorry.
that's just something would increase if it's okay if it's would increase if it's crushed and broken into pieces. And there could be other ideas as well. It could have to do with chesed, that when chesed is performed, the kindness is performed, that
Yeah, it's being distributed. The act of distribution, the act of that giving increases the light, increases the chesed.
I wonder if you could make a comparison to thought going into speech. Because speech is
explain.
a thought that was a whole thing broken down into letters, and speech brings out more than the thought had manifest. So you're breaking it down into something definitely inferior, but you're getting more in the end when it goes into speech.
You're breaking it down into something less. Right?
Yeah.
Thought, you have a
Lower.
whole idea. You can't get that whole idea. You have to limit it and put it into speech. When you put it into speech, in Chassidus, we've learned that it adds to your understanding. It brings more to your thought. So that's very good. That would be one. I think that would as a really good example.
And it works because it's going to Malchus. It's going down. But can I ask you a question? Does it need, the impact thing is strange to me, but does it need to be crushed because Malchus can't receive it, or because it can't be given? Because the language here is in order to give, but is it in order for Malchus to receive? Do you have any idea?
Yeah. Yes. It means that when it gets crushed, it becomes a reflective light, and it bounces back more powerful than just the way it was on the way down.
So it changes the quality of the light is the
Right.
point.
It changes from the direct light to a what's it called?
Reflected.
To reflective light. Imagine something like dropping something that breaks apart and falls into a powder and just floats up everywhere. And there might be powders, but it might not be anything significant, but stuff's floating around, and go try to recapture it. You can't, and some of it's going to escape and reach Malchus.
I've been thinking
But it
so
goes
much
upwards.
about how Malchus is on the chain. It's on the chain, and they say it's a recipient, but everybody on the chain is a recipient. But there's something yesh me'ayin and different that happens with Malchus, and I didn't know what it is that's different when it flows down and it goes here, and now suddenly she can create yesh me'ayin and not be part of cause and effect chain. How is that possible? And here's the answer. This is the answer to that. The way that it's communicated down is different.
But it says it grabs from the chest on the back. So even though the drawing Malchus is at the bottom, now it seems that it's really in the back, in the middle.
Because it starts.
But it starts in the back. It's no longer in the back.
Right.
Thank you.
It's no longer in the back at that point. And it's no longer turned around. Now it's right there.
It's a whole front. It has a front and a back, right?
Right. It's got a front and a back, and it's on its own. It's separate.
It makes sense that it would come from the back of Zeranpin because it's a spiritual thing and Malchus is more physical.
It comes in, and it's Tiferet where it's on the back.
Interesting.
And that's why it gets the ascended light from the Netzach and Hod.
And if you get Tiferes, you're getting everything, right? You're getting all of Zeranpin.
Tiferes is like the center of gravity.
Yeah.
For Zeranpin. Rudy, did we answer your question?
Yeah, I wanted to offer a different or an additional reflection on what is written there. Chesed actually increases when it is crushed. And it's probably based on some of what's been said already, but I know that if you're going to make rose oil, it takes 8,000 blooms to create a 5 milliliter vial of rose oil, which in and of itself is its essence. It is its purest form. I don't know if you've ever smelled rose oil, but pure rose oil can last not just for hours, but for days, either on your, wherever you dab it or even on your clothing. So for me, when I look at this and I think to myself, it's similar to olive oil, how many olives it takes to create a small bottle of olive oil, virgin olive oil. And I would think that given the fact that you're bringing a mass or a volume down to its essence, that it becomes purified. And if chesed is kindness, when it becomes crushed, it becomes purified. The one who performs chesed will perform more of the chesed. It permeates, it spreads, and it lasts. I don't know. That's just a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. I was trying to think of something like that, where being kind, it grows. It causes others to be kind, has a ripple effect. Hopefully.
It does.
Something along those lines. But yeah, so you expressed it well. Thank you.
That's a good analogy.
It's interesting, just as an aside, a little anecdote. Last Friday, I was doing some food shopping for Shabbos, and I was standing in line at the Stop and Shop, and I had a bunch of stuff. And this woman comes up with a can of coffee grounds, and there was a woman in back of me. So she asked the woman in back of me if she could cut in front. And she said, of course. And I see she's only got one can. And I said, please, ma'am, go right ahead. And she said, really? You're going to let me go ahead? And I said, absolutely, go ahead. You've got a can of coffee grounds. It's fine. Go ahead. So she pays for the coffee grounds, and it made such an imprint on her that she said, this is my lucky day. This is my lucky day. Two people actually showed kindness to me. And boy, oh boy, does the world need more kindness. I just, again, like you just said, when you do it, you do more of it, it's infectious. It becomes something that even others will naturally want to do. So
Very good. Very good. I like that.
Little anecdote related to what we're learning.
Nice.
Okay. So this also fits that Yosef corresponds to Yesod. Because Yesod is because of Yesod that the light increases, and the name Yosef means to add. And likewise, someone who gives tzedakah will increase in wealth beyond what it was before. Okay. Abigail, continue. One should not think.
One should not think that the fact that chesed within Zeranpin is given to Nukva means that it is lessened. On the contrary, it is increased, because the force of the impact causes the descending chesed to increase, and their light is magnified immeasurably, causing Zeranpin to grow, as we have explained elsewhere. This is the mystical meaning of the phrase, yet adds more. It is possible that it is for this reason that Yesod is called Yosef. The name Yosef means he will increase. Joseph, known as the righteous, is always identified with the Sephira of Yesod. So will it be for anyone who gives charity. He will become rich, and wealth will increase beyond what it was before.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Beautiful.
We're not done.
Oh,
We're done
I
for
thought
today.
it was, yeah. Under budget, how was it? On time?
Ahead of deadline and under budget.
There you go.
Don't ever tell anyone you're ahead of your deadline. I learned the hard way.
Okay. There's actually another 2 pages. We'll have to save it. On page 1285.
In the back, okay.
In the back. We said Malchus starts in the back.
That's right.
Ah, 2 more a page and a half.
Yeah, not very much.
Maybe, maybe will enlighten us.
Maybe what?
Will enlighten us. Will be the reflected light from the back,
Oh,
wherever.
He's making a joke.
yeah. Okay. Yes, the next one will start there. I'm not sure how we're gonna do this. We have, one moment, please.